Hello everyone, it's David from Automotive Press. I have the all-new 2024 Hyundai Kona right here, and this is a gasoline version which is different from the EV version, and I've done a review on that already, so watch for that one. But it's going to be interesting to do the gasoline version of the Kona because this may be one of the best small/compact crossover out there. I'm going to do a full engineer's review, including some of the audit I do, including the quality check, but also I'm going to add a few other things in terms of engineer's checks and balances. Let's go and take a look at the new Hyundai Kona. Welcome back. So I'm going to do a full review and audit on the Hyundai Kona, but I do want to address one thing, which is the elephant in the room, to do with the battery replacement cost for EVs. As you know, Hyundai has received some media attention regarding the battery replacement cost for the Ioniq 5, which is unfortunate because it could cost as much as $60,000 Canadian. But what I do want to emphasize is that most brands will have the same issue. Whether it's Toyota or Nissan or any other brands, battery costs will be approximately between $30,000 to $60,000 regardless of the brand. And therefore, my advice to you guys right now is to maybe avoid EV for a few years until such time the battery costs have come down or the technology has improved or such that they come up with some other solutions. And that's why it's even more attractive to look at gasoline versions of cars like this one, because obviously you don't have to worry about battery replacement costs. If you want to buy a hybrid or plug-in hybrid, that's also an option as well, because the batteries are smaller and the replacement costs will be much less as well. But for now, let's concentrate on this Kona because it's a gasoline version. And even though I really like the EV version of the Kona, I gotta admit, for now, if you're going to buy one today, I would recommend the gas version just because you don't know how much the battery will cost if you have to replace it. So back to this Kona, you're going to be amazed and shocked how good the quality of the exterior panels are. This is built in Korea, and Korean manufacturing methodologies and approach have rivaled the Japanese in many ways. You might not believe me, but I have been to Korea and looked at the manufacturing processes, and they've really come a long way. So for example, the panel gap is only 3.5 millimeter here, 3.5 also all the way through front to back. It's almost perfect alignment, and the gap here is 3.2 and 3.3 and 3.2. So actually the gaps, and in terms of alignment of the panels, it is as good as all Toyota cars, and indeed it's actually better than some of the Toyota cars such as the Corolla Cross, which has a slightly wider gap. And the paint finish is also really good. It's really consistent. There's a very little orange peel, and the clear coat seems to be very consistent as well. Let me measure the paint thickness and see how it is. So I have the paint thickness gauge here, which measures the total amount of paint and undercoat and clear coat above the sheet metal. So let's take a look how thick it is. On the Kona, it's 121 microns, which is actually very good. It's a little bit thicker than I expected, but what about the sides here? 98.4 microns, and over here, it's 101, which is again pretty well average. It's about the same as Toyota, 88, so a little bit thinner here, and finally one more here, 96. So paint thickness is about the same as most Toyotas, a little bit thicker on the hood side, which is good because that will resist the chips and dings and so forth coming off the road when you're driving on the highway, for example. So paint looks good. The panel alignment and paint matching between the plastic part and the rest of the body looks good as well. So even though you might question about Hyundai's quality, I gotta admit, in terms of outside and also inside, which I'll show you in a second, the manufacturing quality looks really good. So now I'm inside the Kona, and this one is a gasoline version, so you expect the noise level to be higher than the EV version. But you know what? Even with the engine running, this thing is extremely quiet, perhaps one of the quietest small crossover that I've come across. So just to prove that, I got my sound level meter. Obviously I'm talking now, so the meter is going to shoot up, but when I measured it with engine off, is 35 decibels or dBA, and then with the engine on right now in the idle position, it only went up to 39, which is unheard of. Usually it goes up at least 7 to 8 decibels, maybe even 10, but this thing is extremely quiet. Now the reason why I don't measure the decibels when I'm driving is that will be dependent very much on the weather, the wind, the road conditions, and the type of tires you might be having on the car. So I don't like to measure the sound level when I'm driving because it's just not possible to have a consistent level. But I can measure it when the car is stopped, and that will give me some ideas of the quietness and the amount of insulation that car might have. So I think the Kona has a first-class cabin noise, because you know what, I can barely hear the engine running, and I can guarantee that it is running because I can step on it and you'll hear the engine. Anyway, back to the quality of the interior. Everything looks pretty good. When I do my punch test as usual, nothing seems to be rattling or squeaky, and pretty well most of the plastic is actually softer material, but you get some hard plastic here, which is often the case with smaller cars. But the interior is beautiful and really well designed. Everything is through switches and buttons. There's nothing that's built into the infotainment system, and therefore I give a really high rating for the interior design, including a 12.3 inches infotainment system. But also everything here is easy to see, easy to manipulate and to control. So really kudos to Hyundai designers for coming up with an excellent interior design, and they didn't remove the buttons and switches, which is one of my pet peeves in auto design. And also in terms of the rest of the interior, the seat design and so forth looks really good. This is the N-line version, which is like an aesthetic version of the N model. So you get red trims all over the place, including the seats over here as well. And it looks really fantastic. Now let's go for a quick drive and let me tell you the best part of this Kona. So I'm driving the 2024 Kona now on the road, and this is perhaps the most surprising part of the Kona, because it doesn't feel like an affordable, small, compact car. It feels much bigger. It feels more luxurious because it's quiet. And even though the engine is maybe not the first class engine, everything else about this vehicle is world class. In fact, it's kind of like a small European vehicle in a way that Volkswagen Golf used to hold a very high position. It's a really good hot hatch feel with a crossover body, so it's got pretty good room. And if you compare it to competitors like a Subaru Crosstrek or Toyota Corolla Cross, or maybe even the Corolla hatchback, well, this one wins hands down in terms of his ability to communicate with me from the road, because he has good feedback in terms of steering feel, but also just the overall handling and general quality of the road feel. I think this offers exceptional driving dynamics for such an affordable vehicle. Not too many small cars can give you that premium feel or to give you that good feedback on the road, but this one does. I do admit the engine is a little bit weaker than I expected in terms of overall driving. I think they're trying to emphasize and maximize fuel efficiency, but overall no issue in terms of everyday driving. I can pass cars and accelerate briskly. But what I do like the best about this vehicle, especially with this N-line model, is just the fact that it feels really planted, and it feels like a good old-fashioned European small car like an Audi A3 or even the BMW 2 Series. And I think none of the other Asian manufacturers, especially Toyota, is able to do this, because they tend to prioritize refinement and quietness and comfort, and many of them just do not have any kind of road feel. But this one transmits a good feedback from the road to my hands through the steering, and it just feels about right. So even though many of you guys still questions Hyundai's long-term reliability, I think this is one of the most desirable small vehicles because the quality and reliability have improved so much over the years, and also just the driving character and the design and engineering have been fantastic. I really do enjoy driving this Kona, and given the choice for the same price, I would pick this over the Corolla Cross or the Subaru Crosstrek in terms of driving character and value for money. Yes, if you're going to keep a car for 10 or 20 years, I think Toyota still has an edge, and obviously I would probably pick a Corolla Cross for that reason. But if you're keeping a car for a shorter time and you want to maximize driving fun and maximize the value for money, this is the one to buy. So in conclusion, Hyundai has done everything we asked for in terms of what to get from a small car. Peppy engine, good acceleration, a good driving character and dynamics, quiet cabin, a roomy cabin, and a lot of standard equipment on the base model. And on the higher models, you get a full 12.3 inches infotainment system, much like you get in a much more expensive vehicle. So the Kona feels like a car that could cost twice as much and still compete in some way, just because of the quality and the overall features that it offers. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, make some comments, and if you haven't done so yet, would you kindly subscribe as well. Until next video, I'm signing off for now. Thank you so much.